Gilg Jew, Gilg J as Gilg Nerach.
Sé Claare na Gael was Scoiltaigh Cartnish, sé Mahatnius, us a Haltaga. My name is Robert Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Have you ever had tell of old Bobby Bob?
And in Claare na Gael, I'll be presenting part of the programme in the English language as named Chepel, Larn, Jane, Claare, Sachilg, and I'll be presenting part of the programme in the Manx Gaelic, Chinyan Amera, the mother tongue of Ellen Vanning, the Isle of Man. As Bannacht and Duries. William Gell uses a version of an expression which is familiar, not least from Stuart Slack's song, once banned by Manx Radio, about the Laxey girls or the boys. Well, whatever the origins of that phrase, William Gell's 1906 poem, Man in Begbeen, a poetical sketch of the Isle of Man, has at least reached Laxey, where he uses that version of that phrase. On skiel ferish na breirgen Grimm, Maughold and Devre Jeg, a sé prinsenud, we fó'n rí an éireach marrowyd de bergen nien no ruggit den wen rein en spurtje as na bergen riecht reinit. Den wen rein a cho rauw den de bak jegek, as to der skipale. On Thursday evening last it was the Pan-Celtic International Song Competition taking place in Carlow, and the Aranson Man in Kirriveg was beautifully performed by the duo Turrick. Tawas Geisjach Rish Radio Vanning Stasiwn and Asiwn, Viskuller Scalia Mach by Dulish, Ellen Vannin.
shen gore in Dhoon Kerry village in Dhoon Claare ran across in Granyet Gran.
Kirriveg, written and sung by Sue Harrison, who also played guitar, with Rob Middleton on the banjo. Mandolin. Don't know why I said banjo. After a circuit of the Manx coast, starting from Douglas, when William Gell reaches Douglas Bay again, he sets off northward through Onchan and Garwick, up to All Saints' Church, which for 180 years was the Kirklonan parish church. And then he leads the way down into the valley in the village of Laxey and enjoys Robert Williamson's pleasure ground, Laxey Glen Gardens, at the foot of the Glenroy River. But now, he says, but reader, casting off our tether, resume we now our jaunt together over the hills of gorse and heather. Across Dhoon Glen we now must trip, above the wooded seaward dip. Well, Gael hasn't described the route, but as we noted going down the coast, today's main road involved engineering a ledge round Dream Yskeg, which is the headland as you go round the rock face at Bulgham and then turn down towards the Dhoon. There are slightly different accounts of the name Dream Yskeg. Higher up it's just called the Dream, but that part is Dream Yskeg, and we'll see what they are and about a tradition associated with the cliffs there. Tan dever jeg bech ons tai beg for obvious ons men the Caelia is jai blina. Ach led eruit en wen frins vagen der jene beg jeg, maarsten en jegen. As ten wen rein ginstje en acht ren en riek kerel marwad. As renny jeen den nien en der chavin jeg, on dauwert we on luckage. Ta kri maaigen wen frins, de klaasjen nis on een gidgeert, de wel der bre jegek. As die gul macht de hierad. Die chitkus a tie beg for obvious, as unshent and brer se Benjamin, frail tie as ginu lunjachens on the brer negge, ta terten ushiken as bain onze geel. A gerno der ouwet eignet de che kunte margin, rennet brere de geerte foel je margin erbij ta chit quail. Me so te Benjamin korori vollige fo tubag. Tret en a brerige negge, braiach je machion a naiach tegge, genellig grei weg, derre te de chor gelden, nach jinnert adi erbij den chidwagen te dagen, as shen te dieno. Well, this now is the sound of harmonious men, because that's the translation of their name, Kes and Tus, a singing group of choristers from various Cornish choirs.
Men of Cornwall, one and all are we, and here we stand together to bring you greetings from our Celtic land. We have brought our wives and friends with us across the western water to sing, to drink, to talk and shake your hand. In times ago the Celtic saints came to our land of Cornwall and put their names to our villages and towns, like St. Just, St. Alex, St. Marian, St. Hilary and Senna. Their Celtic Christian roots can here be found. Men of Cornwall, one and all are we, and here we stand together to bring you greetings from our Celtic land. We have brought our wives and friends with us across the western water to sing, to drink, to talk and shake your hand.
Kes and Tus, harmonious men singing Harry Glasson's song, Men of Cornwall. Esh dŵr Benjamin rw, tyn siŵr ein yn sio, as renne trogl nisa tubag, as henk nien a ri mach ons na edian rioileg, leis roleg y besh, as vi gian de we gebwech, medde, millish, de rennet ulje goil boga, as rennet claime, as hugged pagangy, as hugged graigi leis ulju na kriegenoch. Lug sio, chani merish Benjamin sa tai. Renni kuna leis Benjamin ons juno an ober. Hai na firelia rumbu stiach sa Gael de herten bein fai, ushigan, as kalmenen, son be in son ulju. As ren an shurok as Benjamin shiger, de rauw de chulju rid erlu in son. Renni cor leis foich son cogre, as freelara na putch nail. De rauw shibu de kinjach erlu tra henk na firelias jach on. Renni freel riknius a tai, as when a liabian de kinjach ben de helen as glen, as when a brerigen boeiach, as wat bergen she. J.J. Neen's The Place Names of the Isle of Man of 1925 says that the name Dream y Skeg is made up of two language elements, with the Manx Gaelic dream, a ridge, but he says that was added later to Yskeg, which is a rather garbled version, he says, of the Scandinavian name for the Dhoon Glen, which was Eskadalr, the Dale of the Ash Tree. Over this ridge, he says, tradition says, the Lord's deer used to be driven from Glen Roy onto the rocks on the shore beneath and killed. W. W. Gill's A Manx Scrapbook, published in 1928, gives the name Yskeg instead as being from Jewis, a fir tree. He also refers to that story of deer being driven over the cliff, but referring to Slewry rather than Glenroy. Mentioning the modern main road to Bulgham, the old road is not far above, actually, here, back from the top of the rock face, rounding Dream y Skeg a bit higher up, running down to the Dhoon, then across the main road, the modern main road, and it goes deeper into the Dhoon, where it's called the Folliter Vannin Road. lovely playing of Irish traditional music there. Mick O'Brien was on uilleann pipes and Cuivine O'Rachel was on fiddle.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Stasiwn yn asiwn sian the Jaro Radio Banning. Si Claare na Gael was for Clash and Cartnesh. Mer Peen Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Did the ever hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
Ten Claare Shaw a Clash and the Shacht and Luggy Guller Scalia Mach and Chir Shaw, Joris Golgus in the Degger Radio Banning as Raya Craman Eish Rish, as ma visu Bruchen for the Rai en the Claare Sarola. The podcast Gente Claare na Gael Nies, vis vergeten nasty through Dinedegger Radio Banning, na through Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audible, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, na Alexa. The Follow to Banning Road goes from Dhoon Glen there, from the where it crosses over the tram lines, and then it winds its way up past Dhoon Farm and the Callan, and then up where the modern main road follows its track for a bit, just to the point. The old main road then goes down into the valley, while the modern main road, built by the surveyor of roads Edward Cateen, a Glenmona man, stays on the higher ground on the west side of the valley. Whilst coming up the road from the Dhoon, the shoulder of Slew Rye has masked the view, but at the point the valley opens up to view with a view to the north. And rounding by the northern hip, majestic here before us stands Barul, who homage due commands, monarch of Maughold's smiling lands. Just by his tale in former days, the poet Kinnish wrote his lays, ere he had fallen on modern ways. Smoothly the tales flowed from his pen of Mannin's ways and Mannin's men. Yet writ he by his own tale, R.N. Well, this is William Kennish of the Royal Navy, of course, born in 1799 in the cottage below the bridge at the Colony. Lair yr awr en yn gysdiaw gyn o erlw gynt braw, as trefadolio ergit cwdiach hyad shis, as giad as duad, as fod ledden the voga. Fa ger a beg ag a tai beg fobius, onsen fa dare lily jeg gas. High a voyagin, as is smunnion de chortatnis den the brerich en ek, de chimsache en der vla jeg, as be foi cor fair de kach, chas wat sai eg be. Ach, chouds vi brisje, gas na blegen, sa turrik chedden, van a brerigen kachleid, gus der fi jeg, as detjel het herrische geel, fode ersoel. As renna tai lesje gera, skellal roos nies. Maar so, van voyagin wacht na shadow na nummerken sa geel fai. As chouds vi gien ma giet de mooi, honnik I shaan ven van a shadow jorri, as duurti, ma feitje, ker it touwen you know. Cren fair na dodu for Gael and der vle jeg in shadow, voodsen and der vre jegged, ta nish a reichin dead gus fee da brech. Doort voyagin as is Kenya, na vel achter be de you know serad. At Truniach later this year, we'll be welcoming a contingent from a young Welsh band called Avanc. Well, here the full 11-strong group sing about the shore of Barmouth, Traeth a Bermo.
Ti'n mynd I draeth y Bermo, machlyd hael yn gwylo'r greg, taw ogo fach ar lan y gorwel, swyn o I ti gael dod. Mae'r llybrwyd treion am ei ffeithiau arwyr chwedlo newigau, swt y feddwl llawn dy chwedlyd, paid o gadael y siwr. Ceri ddilyn yn lliwio law, a ceri baratoi naw, ceri weld y môr oedd mawrion sy'n. Ceri ddilyn yn lliwio law, a ceri baratoi naw, ceri weld y môr oedd mawrion sy'n. dros y byd, fe gyd i weld drwy lygaid newydd, siwt mae eraill yn byw. Ni fydd y daith yn llawn peryglon, gwylio dros dy gefn o hyd, cofiad oes na ddim dychwelyd, rôl ti adael y siwr. Cer i ddilyn yn lliwio'r awa, cer i baratoi nawr, cer i weld y môr y mawrion sir. Cer i ddilyn yn lliwio'r awa, cer i baratoi nawr, cer i weld y môr y mawrion sir. Machlid hael yn gwylio graig daw ogof a charlen y gorwel swyn o i ti gael dod. Yn sibr o theon am ei ffeithiau agwyr chwedlo newig air o siw dy feddwl llawn dychwelyd paid a gadael y siwr. Cer i ddyn yn lliwio'r awa, cer i baratoi nawr, cer i weld y môr y mawrion sir. Cer i ddyn yn lliwio'r awa, cer i baratoi nawr, cer i weld y môr y mawrion sir. Cer i ddyn yn lliwio'r awa, cer i baratoi nawr, cer i weld y môr y mawrion sir. Cer i ddyn yn lliwio'r awa, cer i baratoi nawr, cer i weld y môr y mawrion sir.
Welsh band Abanc, which means young but is spelled with a V rather than F against modern standards of Welsh spelling conventions. The song was called Traeth y Bermo, Barmouth Shore. Chanel, dod yn sian ben, chanel sy cledyn seil ach gybi, ach nen, a sfyr doli ty sien. Chanodw livrea dach liorish fe balw, rysiach blina. Chanaiden dot ed y lord na gerach di, as the jinnach o lord ach eer on Maughold, as neer na rawe weg ach oer a rhwl vain a siach blina, weg ol je ons verdeel, as jinnach na bredig en ed gerachten er kunte en on Maughold shen. Esh door te voigen se griek, tammy ledden shigger de vodum jino ser me vredigen, as hai as jichis on bilje erd. Renny drappelsoes, as vein the sai on shen eg sneeuw, as renny lord na gerchti. Hagere der au rie, for shelgs a geel, as for koe moeregge, ren reiges a vilje on van vagen, ren a limmer soeser, as ren a gonster neer erd. Henke riges sen, as honneke a ben Frins Eilen, rischer a leg a besh, as we chwish fo droeltes eg an eilijek, de ren a gwiori, de vein benegger. William Kinnish spent his boyhood days on the family farm at the Corney area before becoming apprenticed as a shipbuilder in Douglas when he was 11. He joined the Royal Navy, becoming the master carpenter to the Mediterranean fleet, and was at various times an inventor, surveyor, explorer, schoolmaster, poet. Amongst his poems, mostly, it seems, written while he was at sea, are reminiscences of his early family life and the community in Kirk Maughold of the early 19th century. So an invaluable historic and social record to which William Gell draws our attention. And just below the vision suite of Ballaglass, where youthful Pete and Kate would lave their naked feet. Then, couched beside the gurgling rill, full innocent as children still, would loop the loop and think no ill. So they were turning cartwheels here, I think. Well, these are characters from Hall Caine's 1894 novel, The Manxman, Pete Quilliam and Kate Cregeen. But of course complications arise there with Pete's friend Philip Christian. A song in Scottish Gaelic now. The singer is Mary Britton with the group Farshan. Mary is from Edinburgh and she teaches Gaelic at St Francis Xavier University in Antigonish in Nova Scotia, Canada. The voice of Mary Britton, a member of the quartet Farshan, based in Antigonish in Nova Scotia, which is famous for its annual Highland Games, which were first held to raise funds to build St Ninian's Cathedral there in Antigonish. Now, Hall Cain had a connection with this area of Maughold because although his parents were from Ballaugh, his uncle was the schoolmaster at the central school in Maughold, and owing to his uncle's illness, Hall Cain took his place for a year, during which time he also built, or rebuilt, made habitable again, Phoenix Cottage. Now downward to the headland bold. 'Twas here in history we are told, at least so says the legend old, St Maughold, thus the tale begins, came in a coracle of skins, purposed to expiate his sins, purposed to expiate his sins, turned from his bandit ways so vain, resolved in penalty and pain a meed of greatest good to gain. Neither was he left in the lurch, but rose to lead our ancient church. Let none his memory besmirch. St Bridget, thus the tale doth run, the pious saintly Irish nun, to help the work so well begun, at Maughold's hands received the veil, and thenceforth shunned the genus male for ever in the church's pale. Geduggy freger te be, ach snog beg jen choneg. Esh ren eshen heen drappel soos se vilja, as renne corlesh nusi. Huggy a chabelegge, as renne corleshi de valia. Van banish na kommel lesh wuslid woer as boga. A gerende wen pussy lord na gerachti. Lurk dou berge koejach de ginnel rescues de blinten, ren moiren ree, van a ben ook, Gael toicht Kurtra. Kurtra venne, gamlish lachan om graisio, Gael toicht Kurtra a ven rein egg, as doorti risherie, ha neach nien jerchach ingeli, tau ang oil de chien, koiek de visser na krauten kerchinach ti klai. Hier de bergie ballu de vier, as ne body lord, eg a goed slu odders I gerachti. De hanachten gin gerachti, shen kaura, je drach koen shens. Eg a toicht ha jinnacherie krel weg je, ach, ren en shan ven lord goud, as rennie korlige chwilien ridolk, de renne verjere ligge deisen heen bij jint shigger, as hugge a ven rein, for dere bass. A Breton quintet, Tan Elel, with a piece of music called Songe, the Breton word for a thought or a memory. Tan Elel are from Wilgwad, which takes its name from the Breton meaning the higher forest.
A nation station, Manx Radio.
Shen Mote, Station and Ashon Radio Banning, as an show she Claare na Gael was Guller Scalia Mach, Mish Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert the Carslach.
Have you heard tell of our Bobby Bob?
Va Isle Moor for that ons closer Chastel, as wie de way lost it onsen. As van drie na Jadu Hus Segen Unjug, as Rene Jean Ulju, lesh na Sully Nega, va Shilja Jair. Noder au Grai Moor ega ori. As treb I Hanna Connell the John Risha Steak, as van ail schlien edian ek, gles chingach and jurga, hang tullachs jerry na siach blien agus jera. Esh, was sheeën de heger a glaasjen zijn air, as henk daar fie jeg, as utsen getlach noes na sinchla, as houser en het bent en rishatollu, henk het de wei en daar breid jeg, ek wa kailtek. Ren het seirige through den aisle, as ren het moegen a loddigen, as ren het ginosair a huur wienok, as utsen pege as gurgige he. As nish der ouwe bielek fauslich, as de doddy coreber lord, din sé den rí an son na valuadjek, as an na rawie gerchti. Ren na rí go boge trechile jane onidjek, as ren na dulju berge kujak ons manra deren vesok. St. Maughold had earlier been the leader of a brigand band in Ireland, but in attempting to make a fool of St. Patrick one day, Maughold found himself converted to Christianity. St. Patrick told him to put his trust in God, and he was bound in chains and set afloat in the coracle that arrived at Maughold Head, which he climbed, and when he sank to his knees to give thanks in prayer, Maughold's well sprang up. There was already a monastery on Maughold, and Maughold was received there, and as they sat to dine on fish, a key was found in the belly of the fish, and it opened Maughold's fetters. He rose to become the head of the monastery, and was so highly esteemed that the church and parish are now dedicated to him. As we heard in the poem, one of the legends is that St. Bridget came to the Isle of Man and took the veil as a bride of Christ, entering her calling as a nun, and she took the veil from the hand of St. Maughold. And there's the northern parish of Kirkbride, and she's also said to have founded the nunnery near Douglas while she was here. Emma Greenwood is a musician, historian and librarian, and here she sings Grai Falsa with her husband Tom at the piano.
Magroch vilja ni köra du di folsa as mi suri huri resha modilen tre honikina krograi ekorim oda hive Astami fegich malo Scannel, scannel, in soishish leoni, maroi, maklusha, gekfoekion, achloda, jinachin, kino, jamak,
Emma and Tom Greenwood, and through the cleverness of double tracking there, Emma was able to harmonise with herself, and Tom also played the violin as well as the piano. A version of Grae Fáilse. At Kirk Maughold then. Most precious relics here exist, memorials of the age of mist, of antiquarians' love, the gist. Hard by here too, the gossips tell, exists a certain wondrous well, o'er which was cast some mystic spell, to heal all kinds of human ill, dispensing thus with draught and pill, saving perchance that little bill. Thither the old, the young, and fair, went stressed with ailments, would repair, and in the saint's own stony chair, to quaff the waters, sit demure. This was to expedite the cure, and make assurance doubly sure. Gell was writing, of course, 42 years before the inception of the National Health Service, hence his reference to the healing powers of St Maughold's well, saving perchance that little bill. However, whilst the well is there, what of the saint's own stony chair? Now, Jenkinson's Practical Guide of 1874 says this: the stone or rock which formed the saint's chair is overgrown or destroyed, for there is no such to be found. But is that right? Well, we'll have a look and see. Wel, chielsyn drawyd oliw bech ons she is gynnw dy mai der a hwyr at bes. The shen the grey a ri as a ven rain as an dev vac jeg as an dev re jeg. Ach, jaru gamlish tammy ach van drach voor salai fin jou vanre as renish gedden bes ons trias. As my soul shen jera skiel ferish shen machion and dev re jeg. Tana skiel se chaglum shaw enmsich na wagenti. Dwrt kellach rishach jark, she en tres on chimsach a croin ton. Liegt on golgus na slagen as goil gins mai de yinu cochlei, rosh me vis na fjorrigan chit de zimmerke oliu a soul. Liegt on dregrach jark, ta rod, be trefi in line regelia. Esh hired rumbu kujacus na slagen. As nod an la brau von, renne tannachton on shen der an jaster beg. Rawe nod rawe de ni huishne kunte vorn as dwannel as och gesem. Ach, rawe arltach de golde valje chosh. Maar so renne kellach god toyach de jinu carriage beg as bleesten crow. Trebe erlu, renne chak corrihin na Sion. Yesterday in Camborne in Cornwall was a celebration of Richard Trevithick, 1771 to 1833, a Cornish engineer who developed a steam engine capable of moving under its own power. There was lots of steam engines before that, but none that was capable of moving under its own power. Well, here are Briar's boys to explain and to sing about it.
This song is called Going Up Camborne Hill. So the story of Camborne Hill is that just over 200 years ago, an engineer called Richard Trevithick actually designed and built the very first steam-powered engine. And on Christmas Eve, he ran it up Camborne Hill. And this song is about his steam engine.
Going up Camborne Hill, coming down. Going up Camborne Hill, coming down. The horses stood still, the wheels went around. white stockings she wore. White stockings she wore. White stockings she wore. The same as before. Going up Camborne Hill, coming down. I knowed her, old father, old man. I knowed her, old father, old man. I knowed her, old man. He blowed in the hand. Going up Camborne Hill, coming down. We eat on the coal for the steam. We eat on the coal for the steam. The steam hit the beam. The wheels went around. Going up Camborne Hill, coming down. Going up Camborne Hill, coming down. Going up Camborne Hill, coming down. The horses stood still. The wheels went around. Going up Camborne Hill, coming down.
This is Dhoon from Cornwall a few years ago, Briar's Boys, and there they celebrated the work of Cornish engineer Richard Trevithick with his Puffing Devil, and yesterday was Trevithick Day in Camborne. Dúirt a cheach ris a chelach, nish fuddius gols a grai cochondrish. Shen maidalur de hon dúirt a kelach, barely am gold a valye a chosh, sha jinwalid shen, as heremi riu cordelrish, chenel mi nai, ve imanach, as sire a tayag, ach mish tarne, chajinum shen a chorer be. And whilst Jenkinson's practical guide found no saint's chair at the well, there's a rocky outcrop on Maughold Head which is said to have been the place, and people would get water from the well and go and sit on the rock. St Maughold's chair, and that was particularly done on Ladies' Day, the 25th of March, when women who wanted to conceive did that. Water is still collected from St Maughold's well for use in baptisms in the church, and particularly the well is said to be good as a sight for sore eyes. Shene just and Traer jet the Chorkion a Claare. There'll be the best of chill-out music for your Sunday evening here on at Manx Radio from 7 till 9 with Chris Pearson. And then at 9 o'clock, Judith Lay is your host as Sundown goes to the Guild. And Judith will have a Guild programme each evening at 9 o'clock from Monday the 28th of April to Friday the 2nd of May, then a best of the festival next Sunday evening at 9. Next Saturday afternoon, the 3rd of May at 2:30 in the Guild Room next to Peel Methodist Church in Athol Street, all are very welcome to a presentation called Standing Up for the Celtic Nations, and that'll be including music as well. A donation of £3 on the door will be gratefully received to help with overheads. That's organised by the Manx branch of the Celtic Congress. Claare Gael comes to a close this time with outstanding Irish fiddle players, brothers Cahill and Stephen Hayden from County Tyrone and Niall Murphy from County Armagh, the Bow brothers. Ach maidalur Sinead Cartnish, and so until the next time, this is Robert Catine Cartwell, Robert a Carslach.
Old Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night eve, I'm a Chrí Ort, as be Yiri and Share Dutch.